Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about one of the biggest pop singers and most famous music artists of this generation. Yes, today we're talking about Taylor Swift again. She's been getting increasingly woke and pro-leftist year after year lately, which was a sad turn for her too, since just a year or so ago, Taylor was trying to stay out of politics altogether. But eventually Taylor caved in and now she's turned for the worse, and really, it seems like she's getting more pro-social justice warrior now to compensate for staying out of social issues before. She's doubling down after staying out for too long. For example, last summer when this woke wave of her career began, well, back then we covered her in her new music video for the song You Need to Calm Down. This video got strikingly pro-LGBTQ, with rainbow flags and pro-alphabet messaging and everything. Yeah, Taylor even got woke in her actual song's lyrics too, and the video followed along and everything as well. And this is a new trend for her, which is coming back today too. And also, another trend from Taylor Swift that's returning is her bashing and hating of men. Just a few months ago, we did a follow-up about Swift, talking about how she's been going on about male privilege, even blaming so-called toxic masculinity for a bad business deal she made and can't seem to get over. This deal, message, and changing over in her music to liberal propaganda pushing, well, this is all coming back for today's story and video as well. Just a few days ago, Taylor released another very woke, terribly anti-male song and video simply called The Man, and boy is she getting really excited about this one. Apparently Taylor Swift has directed this music video herself too, and surprise surprise, it's about to get pro-SJW as hell. Basically, as you might have guessed, this new song and video is going after the man, or more specifically, it's going to assume things about us and draw from their preferred male stereotypes, giving us the most negative interpretation possible, as a way to make men look like we don't earn or deserve what we got in this world. Something like that is on its way here certainly, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves yet. First, let's start from the beginning of this music video, look at some images from it, and discuss what happens beat by beat. Things start off with the man, a guy in a corner office at some kind of big city business or something. He starts walking around, bossing other employees around, while the lyrics of the song say this baloney. I would be complex, I would be cool. They'd say I played the field before I found someone to commit to, and that would be okay for me to do. Every conquest I had made would make me more of a boss to you. So I guess this is low-key about how men are encouraged to play the field when dating, while women are supposedly chastised for sleeping around, I guess. Not sure that's well-founded in reality though, especially in liberal circles like Taylor's. And other celebrities and Hollywood types would disagree too. They all sleep around all the time and they push for this degenerate behavior to happen more too. And the other thing worth noting here is this dynamic Taylor's complained about, well, it's not really about things being fair. She doesn't want fairness. SJWs and feminists always mask their complaints about things as them trying to make everything more fair, but that's actually not true at all. These kinds of girls really want special treatment, and they want to receive all of the privileges of both sides of everything. They want all the good with none of the bad. They want to have their cake and eat it too, essentially, and this dating complaint, while downplayed and coming off somewhat mild, it's actually a big disregard to reality and how things actually are. For example, there's a reason guys get complimented and commended when they date and sleep with lots of quality women. That's because it's a challenge for guys to accomplish something like that. We have to work hard, put in the effort, approach the girls, woo them, pay for things, and so on. You name it, and the dudes are putting time in on it, and they're getting their shit together to make that kind of romance happen. But on the other side of things, women have a far different dynamic when it comes to dating. Sure, they have to put some effort in too, but they also don't have to if they don't want to. Girls can just sit back and wait for the guys to come to them, and then they just pick and choose and decide based on who has approached them recently. And for women, even the biggest, ugliest, and most terrible girls, they can still end up with lots of dates and sex and a husband if they wanted to, and they could put in little to no effort. But girls like Taylor Swift, they don't recognize this. Instead, they opt to ignore reality and try and get the benefits of both sides of this equation without putting in any of the work. Back to the music video now, and the other thing worth noting before moving on is the pretty obvious ruse that's going on here. If you didn't notice right away like how I did, after a few more seconds you can clearly tell that this man in the video, well, it's actually Taylor Swift herself dressing up as a dude. Genius. Now you don't have to complain about how being a man is better. You are a man now, so you're getting that better treatment, right? Really though, can't women just cross-dress like this if they really think being a man is so much better? It's not that hard. If they really think it's that much better as a dude, they should just do that. They seem to think that since there's so many positives on our sides, like life as a guy is perfect, when it's not even close to being right. In fact, many and most would say being a guy is much harder. You're expected to work, take people's shit, and just deal with it a lot of the time. No special treatment for dudes either, and you have to do all the hard, terrible, dangerous jobs that women refuse to apply for as well. Next, Taylor parades around the office in the video even more, saying this next line that's equally confusing. It goes, "I'd be a fearless leader, I'd be an alpha type. When everyone believes ya, what's that like?" Now, is she really saying that everyone believes men over women? What the hell is this crazy chick even talking about? Taylor is clearly detached from reality and the real world, especially if she thinks this is the case. I seriously can't come up with any situations where this is remotely true though, except of course the classic feminist stereotype that pretends men are listened to at work more than women. I've never seen that though. What I have seen is dozens of men's lives ruined by false allegations coming from the Me Too movement, a progressive SJW joke of a movement that literally says listen and believe all women. Then there's the court systems in America and the government and all the men who have paid fines and served jail time and had to pay child support for kids who weren't theirs, all because our judges and judicial system greatly favors the ladies here. And this is me only getting started about how this is so wrong. Next, we get a shot of the man manspreading on a train. And now I almost can't even. I can't believe this topic and word and phrase is being referenced in current year, after it's been debunked and shot down so many times. Then the lyrics of this scene have the balls to say this: "I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I get there quicker if I was a man. I'm so sick of them coming at me again, because if I was a man, then I'd be the man." Well, what are you even running towards though, Taylor? What actual hardships and disadvantages have you had because you're a woman? Because all I see is a spoiled brat worth hundreds of millions of dollars complaining about supposed unfair treatment you never really received. I mean, if men were slowing you down, they really didn't do a very good job or make much of a difference. Taylor, you're still one of the biggest and richest and most awarded celebrities on the planet. But I guess Taylor wanted to make her first $100 million before she was 20, instead of making it by 25 or something. Come on, give me a break. You're so spoiled and out of touch that you're not even close to understanding how gender issues really are. And it actually hurts to watch. Watching rich elitist celebrities like this try and relate, it's like watching aliens from Mars trying to understand how American basketball and vernacular works or something. Basically, Taylor Swift is so out of touch, she belongs on another planet. And for the record, this kind of over-exaggerated manspreading hardly ever happens in the real world on trains at all. Really, you're more likely to lose your seat space to a woman's bag than this, because these kinds of overly dramatic manspreaders are few and far between. Next, the man character takes a leak in the subway station, and here we get a reference to Taylor Swift's older albums again. As stated earlier, Taylor Swift is really butthurt about a bad business deal she made with her previous record company. Apparently, they own all her music outright now, and now she can't even perform her old songs anymore. Not very cool, actually, I'll admit, but again, remember, Taylor Swift signed this contract on her own without any pressure, and she was also rewarded hundreds of millions of dollars for it. Kind of hard to pity a person who was paid so well, but it's also not surprising Taylor is complaining either, since we already know she thinks she can have things both ways. Taylor constantly complaining despite being pampered and spoiled, and she's never satisfied and always wants more. And this shot in the video references the situation by having her older albums written on the wall in graffiti. There's also a sign that says no scooters, and this of course references her former business partner whose name's Scooter, who Taylor portrays as an evil misogynist man, of course, even though he's just some kind of producer doing his job and making deals and holding people to them like he should. Now after that, we get to a new scene where the man is on a boat with some hot ladies and a server giving him drinks and stuff. Then the lyrics say, "They'd say I hustled, put in the work. They wouldn't shake their heads and question how much of this I deserve. What I was wearing, if I was rude, could all be separated from my good ideas and power moves." Taylor, honey, you need to get a grip here. You had one business deal go bad. Now get over it. You don't have to turn that into you hating men for the rest of your life. I mean, you could, that's your right, but you'd be wrong, and you really should keep this misandrous stuff to yourself. But instead, and as with most celebrities these days, they just can't be rich and famous. That doesn't make them happy enough. Now they also have to push their bad, hateful, negative ideas onto the rest of us. Like for example, Taylor seems to be under the impression that men are never challenged or questioned, and people don't wonder if we deserve the things we got. They do though. I don't know who told you otherwise, but guys face all of these challenges too, and sometimes worse. Men could get questioned whether they deserve a job that their family got them, or whether they earn their way in the world since they grew up rich or something. Stuff like that happens to us all the time, Tay-Tay. So I don't know where she's getting this perceived biasness from then. I guess maybe she just can't relate or empathize with real people, and she's so detached from the real world that Tay Swift really thinks she's the only one who's ever had to struggle, and women are apparently the only ones that ever get challenged at work or in public. Please, we all get judged and hated on, and people talk bad about us and say say shit, but what I'm really starting to think here is something I theorized before in another video with a similar premise. Basically, in the real world, we're all treated about the same, and the real reason women complain more like this, it's actually because they just can't handle it. Next, we can skip over a few scenes. The man gets called the world's greatest dad for some reason, and then Taylor whines about men having more fun or something, pretending it's okay when men are bad or angry, when it's obviously not. Finally, things begin to wrap up when the video skips ahead 58 years into the future, and now the man is older and he's marrying a really hot young chick for some reason, and I'm not sure this scene expresses what Taylor actually intends. I guess she's trying to call out older dudes for marrying younger hot chicks, but you gotta remember, these younger girls are marrying them by choice. In fact, this hot chick in the video looks happy as hell to be marrying this really old guy. She's got a nice dress on and a giant ring and everything, so if both parties are happy with this, then what's the real problem? I don't know. Taylor Swift can't make a point here to save her life, apparently. The only thing I see that's obvious about this whole thing is Taylor Swift is bitter as hell. She's mad at men and still angry about what males have done to her throughout her life. And not only does Taylor have dozens of breakup songs to prove this, discussing her failed relationships in public like a terrible person, but also you got to factor in her ongoing lawsuit and the complaining she's doing about that bad business deal and not being able to play her old songs, which of course she seems to be blaming this problem on all men in general, instead of doing the right thing and looking inward, admitting that she made a mistake when she signed that deal that she doesn't like anymore. Finally, things end with Taylor talking to Taylor in a cringy scene where the real female Taylor shows up, who's a director in this video within the video, and then the girl Taylor tells the man Taylor he needs to be more sexy and likable. Obviously they're trying to flip the script here or something. I guess some guy told this to Taylor one time many years ago, and her being a bitter and terrible person who likes to hold grudges, well, she can't let things go. And Taylor's been holding that grudge for so long, she had to put this clip in the video. In the end, we get 4 credits in a row of Taylor Swift thanking herself for doing such an amazing job with this too. What a joke. And I'm sure she thinks this whole video makes her some kind of brave, woke SJW hero or some shit, but not really. Really, Taylor just showed her true colors here once again. Obviously, she hates men, and she also misunderstands human beings, Americans, and gender relations in the real world too. Tay is out of touch, clearly. She's got hundreds of millions of dollars, and she's only 30 years old. She's never worked a real job or had any real struggles in her life. And these kinds of coddled people, well, this is what happens to them. When you've never had to fight for your life or work until you were blue in the face, and when you've had everything handed to you since you were a kid, well, that's when you start to think meaningless things like manspreading are the real problems and struggles in this world. But really, Taylor's biggest struggle in her life was that one time a producer told her to be more likable, which shouldn't be a surprising note for her to get since Taylor constantly comes off as unlikable. And the funniest part about all of this the man stuff is Taylor actually proved the opposite of her points. This character she created, the boy version of herself, aptly named Tyler Swift, well, Tyler would have never made it in the music business the way Taylor did. An okay looking guy has far less of a chance at succeeding in her business than an okay looking woman does. Not to say Taylor Swift's career is based on a lot of sex appeal, she certainly isn't the most attractive, especially when you look at her closely with no makeup, but at the same time, Taylor being a pretty blonde, nice looking woman certainly helped her get started. So maybe instead of making shit up about dudes getting advantages and assuming we have it easy, well, women like Taylor should look in a mirror and realize that ladies get plenty of benefits themselves, if not many, many more. What do you guys think? Is Taylor Swift going too far? Why do you think she hates men so much? Is it all her failed relationships caused by her being stuck up and having an holier than thou attitude? Or is Taylor still mad she only made $300+ million off her original record deal? Cry me a frickin' river. Now, comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button to help support this channel, and we'll see y'all next time.